Hi you guys, this is Jamie with Whatever's Clever Boutique, and today we are going to make this super fun There is Magic Inside You Christmas tumbler. It has super gorgeous vinyl on the back, and this is from Glamour Tribe Vinyl with the cute little deer. And it also could be a summer tumbler. There's no real indicators of like snow or anything like that, but I will have everything listed and linked in the description box below, as well as some discount codes for you. We're going to go ahead and start with a prep tumbler from the Tipsy Magnolia, and it is a 12-ounce shorty. Then we have this super fun mini sheet of vinyl from Glamour Tribe Vinyl, and it is Dearly Beloved. And we're going to start by just trimming off those edges of the vinyl. To apply the vinyl to the tumbler, we're going to do the hinge method like I have done on many previous tutorials. So we're just going to tape one side down. Once our vinyl is straight, we're going to trim off that excess on the top. Then we're going to go ahead and peel back a little bit of that backing, and we're just going to cut that right down that side, and we're going to place that vinyl down onto the tumbler. And then we're going to go ahead and peel up that tape that we used to anchor our vinyl on the tumbler. And then we're going to slowly press that backing right out of the back side of that vinyl. And with these small tumblers, it is so easy, so this should be a breeze. And then we're going to pull that vinyl along the top to make it tight to the top of the tumbler before we take our X-Acto knife and trim that away. Once we've trimmed off that excess, we're going to take our cutting tool or our edging tool that's from Cami Page Boutique, and we're just going to cut that top edge to line up evenly with the spacing from the bottom of the tumbler and the top of the tumbler, because we're going to frame this vinyl with some pinstriping to make it look like it's supposed to be an accent piece on the tumbler. Now we're going to go ahead and tape off our vinyl, and we are going to do our glittering for the remainder of the tumbler. Now, if you've watched some of my previous tutorials, you know I'm obsessed with KSRESIN's neon collections. They have the fine cut collection as well as the 2.0s, which are perfect matches, just a mini chunky blend of that fine cut glitter that really adds dimension and depth to your tumblers. So I used way too much UV resin here. Don't be like me. So we're going to go ahead, and I did take some of that excess off, but we're going to lay that UV resin all over the tumbler that is still bare. We're not going to put anywhere that vinyl is. And now I'm going to go in starting with those 2.0 colors, and I'm going to lay my rough draft. So I'm not going super heavy handed here. I'm just doing little lines. I'm not doing any blending at this point. I'm just trying to get my spacing for where I want the colors to go. Being that this is such a tiny tumbler, you don't have a lot of wiggle room, so you really want to take your time here to get your foundation laid. And then you can go in a little heavier handed, and we're going to start to kind of blend those colors together as much as you can on a tumbler that's so small when you have such small spaces for the color to go. But if you just take your time and slowly build up that blend with that mini chunky blend, and then once we are finished with those mini chunkies, we're going to go in with the fine cut versions of those glitters to really build the blend even more. Now that all those mini chunkies are laid, we're going to go ahead and go in with the fine cut. I didn't put any of that 2.0 on the bottom side of the tumbler just because it's harder to epoxy on the bottom side and get it smooth. So I saved the bottom for just the fine cut. I believe it's called Daphne, which is the purple. And then we're going to go in with all of the other fine cut glitters, and we're going to go ahead and just blend those colors even more. And look at how cute it is already. I am so obsessed. All these neons are just amazing from Chase Ray. Now we're going to go ahead and take our tumbler and roll it on the parchment paper, and that's just to flatten any of those little chunky bits to make epoxying a whole lot easier. And then we're going to go ahead and peel up that tape. UV resin, we need to now go ahead and cure that UV resin that's under that glitter, under our lamp, and I let it sit here for about 10 minutes. That may be overkill, but it's what I did. Now we're going to take the clear sealer, seal our tumbler twice, and then we're going to go in with 2 coats of epoxy, and we are ready for our next step. I went ahead and did my sanding before we went in with our pinstriping vinyl. And I do have this pinstriping file on my website. It is so amazing. It's all, I think there's 3 or 4 different sizes. And I just took a day where I spent about 2 hours and just cut all sorts of colors of vinyl. That way I have them at my disposal. And you saw them there in that little container. And I just go through and I always have a color that will work. At this point yet in the year of having this file, I haven't had to reuse it again. At some point, once I use them all up, obviously I'll have to cut more, but just taking that time has made things so much easier. And so I just went ahead and framed out that vinyl with that kind of holography black. Now I got this There Is Magic Inside You file. I don't recall exactly who it was on Etsy, but I will go ahead and link them in the description box below once I figure that out. And I just went ahead and created an offset, and I cut the offset out in white, and then I did black for the circle and the small letters. I did this Tech Wrap Craft pearl vinyl in black for the magic, and then I went ahead and did another holographic from Tech Wrap Craft. This is the rainbow holographic on the stars. So now we're just going to go ahead and peel that back and do the hinge method again with this. I left a little bit of that backing to the side so that my transfer tape will stick. And I really wanted to make sure it was centered, so it took me a second to make sure that it was where I wanted it before I peeled the rest of that backing off and went ahead and laid it on our glittered side of the tumbler. Now for our glitter booty, I'm going to go ahead and prep the bottom of this tumbler with some of the black. It's already tinted black, I should say. CC DIY UV resin, as well as some white. This is just saving me from having to paint with acrylic paint. This day I just found it easier. So I went ahead and put those in the crevices, not all the way full. I just did a little bit to cover the bottom of each of those crevices. And then I went ahead and cured that for about 60 seconds. And now we're gonna actually do an ombre-ish on the bottom, similar to what we did on the front side. So I am filling up 7 medicine cups here, and I'm going to go ahead and take the 2.0 versions of the neon glitters from KSRESIN Creations, and I'm just going to put a little bit of each of those into the medicine cups that have our UV resin and get those stirred up. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my yellow medicine cup. Since that's the middle color, that's what I'm going to start with, so I can try and get pretty even spacing here. And I'm just going to create a little line. Then I'm going to go ahead and do that with every other color that follows. As you can see, they kind of start to blend together themselves, but we're going to go ahead and take our lighter and we're going to pop any of those air bubbles that may be underneath there. And then I'm going to take my popsicle stick and I'm just going to kind of do it in a swirl motion along each of those seams of the colors to try and build a little bit of a blend, so to create a somewhat ombre-ish look on the bottom of the tumbler. It won't be as perfect as sprinkling glitter like we did on the front, but I feel like it turned out pretty well, and I'm super happy with how it came out, because it was one of those visions that you get and you want it to come out so perfectly, and then when it works, you're like, oh my gosh, I did it. So it was one of those like wins as a creator that you get, and it just feels so good. So once you get that blended to your liking, you're gonna go ahead and cure that with your UV light for, I would say I did it for about 3 minutes. And now we're gonna go on the outer ring, and we're gonna do the same thing with our black. I believe that was Gothic. And we're gonna go ahead and stir that up, pour it into that outer ring. We're gonna use our lighter to pop bubbles and then cure that as well. Now I'm just going to take a little dab of UV resin, and I'm going to put one of my little logo tags right on the bottom there, and then cure our tumbler. Once our booty is all finished, we're going to go ahead and put a thin coat of epoxy all over our tumbler. And then I'm going to go ahead and take some of our carnation glitter and just mix that into the remaining epoxy. And we're going to kind of create a snow effect on the back side of the tumbler. By the back side, I mean the vinyl side, to give it some more depth and dimension and just create kind of like that wintry neon scene. And once that is finished, we're going to go ahead and go in with one more coat of epoxy, and our tumbler will be finished. I am seriously so in love with this tumbler, and it initially was supposed to be a winter tumbler for Christmas, But after seeing it, it could totally be used year-round. Like I said, there's no snowflakes or anything like that that distinguishes it as an actual Christmas tumbler. You do have the deer, you have the pretty pine trees, and so it does fit for Christmas, but you could totally use this tumbler at any point in time. I hope you guys love this tutorial. It was so much fun to make, and I loved the different booty version that we had there. So I hope you guys loved it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and I will see you guys soon.